Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Get your mother-loving ears on because your big-time radio DJ's got news. PayPal lets you choose how you want to pay for all the stuff. With PayPal, I can pay in-store, pay online, or pay over time. What's that? You want this translated into song? I hope you're sitting down. You can pay your own way. You keep those ears on, you hear? Don't just pay, baby. PayPal.
Learn more at paypal.com.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative. On the Red Apple Podcast Network. Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the soul of excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
Dozens of people of East African descent have been charged, convicted, and sentenced for stealing more than $1 billion in taxpayer money from government programs during COVID. As you know, Governor, that is more than Minnesota spends each year to run its Department of Corrections. So I want to give you a chance to respond to this. Do you take responsibility for failing to stop this fraud in your state?
Well, certainly I take responsibility for putting people in jail. Governors don't get to just talk theoretically. We have to solve problems. And I will note, it's not just Somalis. Minnesota is a generous state. Minnesota is a prosperous state, a well-run state. We're AAA bond rated, but that attracts criminals. Those people are going to jail. We're doing everything we can. But to demonize an entire community on the actions of a few, it's lazy.
Welcome, my friends, to the Monday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, the fastest hour in American media. We could do the entire show on what has been going on in Minnesota. In fact, we have some other things for you to listen to concerning the rampant fraud that has taken place and probably still is taking place in Minnesota. One is a very, very lengthy report on Medicaid fraud. I doubt whether we will have time to listen to the whole news report. It was from a local NBC station there. Over 6 minutes explaining fraud in Minnesota just with Medicare, something entirely different. But there are other things happening. A glimmer of good news, my friends. The governor of West Virginia, Patrick Morrisey, is saying that the family of the 24-year-old U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf, who was shot in Washington, D.C., part of the National Guard contingent that took the life of U.S. Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, who was killed. The family of Andrew Wolf is asking for prayers. He's still fighting for his life. He needs prayers. But he said that there were some positive signs. The National Guardsman, Andrew Wolf, gave a thumbs up that he could hear a nurse's question to him, and he wriggled his toes. So there is a degree, a glimmer of hope. I've been reading stories about the economy over this Thanksgiving now into the holiday season, and they've all been negative, most of the ones that I've read. So it may come as some surprise to you if you have seen similar stories that Americans are spending more on this holiday season, despite, it says here from CBS News, despite the dour economic views, Americans may not be feeling jolly about their economic prospects, but that didn't stop shoppers from opening their wallets on Black Friday. driving spending to new records. How in the world is that possible with all just the negative stuff? And also with the protesters out in front of the Apple store in New York. And you have people there. And then there was a bunch of protesters that showed up at an ice garage trying to block it, right? They arrested some. Now the city council members, some of these radical city council members are demanding that they be released. And they're coming up with laws to make it okay for their New York socialist protesters to interfere with ICE operations. Welcome to the Mondami, New York. Also, purchases today, getting back to the economic news on Cyber Monday, are expected to be strong. The software giant Adobe is forecasting that shoppers are going to spend $14.2 billion online today, which is more than a 6% increase from this time last year. Democrats going nuts over Venezuela. I have headlines because we have so many stories. ABC News. Trump administration live updates. White House says Admiral Bradley gave the order on second drug boat strike. Caroline Leavitt said Admiral Mitch Bradley made the order for the second strike. Secretary Hegseth faces scrutiny for lethal boat strikes. Both chambers of Congress returned to Washington, D.C. on Monday after Thanksgiving recess, working throughout the remainder of the year on government funding bills. The White House is dodging questions regarding the survivors killed during the second boat strike. Another headline, this from also CBS News. Trump says he wouldn't have wanted a reported second strike on alleged drug boat. President said Sunday he wouldn't have wanted a reported second strike, while pledging to look into the matter that has sparked concern among lawmakers. The first strike was very lethal. It was fine. And then there were two people around. The president told reporters on Air Force One, but Pete said that didn't happen. I have great confidence in him. Washington Post reported Friday that Defense WAWA, I'm correcting them. They say Defense Secretary. It's now the Department of WAWA. WAWA Secretary Pete Hegseth gave a verbal order to leave no survivors. You know what's amazing to me? The Democrats are doing their utmost as a political party to defend drug dealers. I mean, you know, let's cut them just a little bit of slack, little, not much. They doubt, I suppose, the intelligence community that is guiding the administration and saying these are drug boats. So they are skeptical of the intelligence community, and they hate the Secretary of WAWA and the president, so they are doing their utmost to cast doubt. That is what this whole Seditious Six movement is about. Cast doubt over the fact that these are really drug dealers. Now, things are heating up in Venezuela. Oh, another headline, by the way. TheHill.com. You can also find, I think, a story on this in the Daily BS today. Hegseth jokes about boat strikes as Congress ramps up scrutiny. Defense Secretary, I have to correct it again, WAWA Secretary Pete Hegseth on Sunday evening made light of the mounting scrutiny he faces over a report that he gave in order to kill everybody aboard an alleged drug boat in the Caribbean in September. In a post on the social platform X, the Defense Secretary, the WAWA Secretary, included a mock cover of a children's book from the Franklin the Turtle book franchise. The edited cover includes a small print label on the top, a classic Franklin story, followed up by the made-up title, Franklin Targets Narco-Terrorist. The illustrated cover depicts the Franklin character dressed in military garb, standing off the side of a helicopter as he holds what appears to be a rocket launcher aimed at 3 boats below, all of which appear to be carrying cargo representing drugs. One of the boats is mid-explosion as Franklin fires off more ammo directed below. Hegseth tagged in the photo, U.S. Southern Command, which covers the region, for your Christmas wish list, he wrote. And he's facing allegations of being horribly insensitive for that. I don't know.
He looks very cheerful, like launching that grenade, rocket launcher.
Like maybe he's happy to be taking care of drug dealers that kill innocent people, perhaps. I'm sure the folks at Franklin, I'm sure that's going to be the next thing we hear about. This book franchise, people are probably going to go absolutely bonkers. But, okay. Lawmakers voice support, this is from the Associated Press, for congressional reviews of Trump's military strikes on boats. Now, you know what? I actually think this may work out good, because if Congress is demanding to know, number one, what's going on, are these really drug boats? That can put the matter to rest. Yes, drug boats. And then the Democrats are going to have to defend their defense of the drug dealers and the people that cause American harm. And also, we have said we are at war with them. So our defense now going to be anti-war in favor of the narco-terrorist. So perhaps this has a silver lining in all of this. So yeah, Congress, and does Congress have the right to look at it? Sure they do. I'm not afraid of the outcome. As I said, Donald Trump is going to meet with Rubio, Hegseth, and others on top aides on the issue of Venezuela. Apparently, there was a call, and people are saying that Trump told Maduro he'd give him safe passage out, but it appears that there is perhaps going to be a military response to what has been taking place in Venezuela over the years. A lot of mixed feelings about that. I don't know whether the American people are 100%, not Democrats, never behind anything that Trump does, but if there is going to be a military action in Venezuela, I think the president needs to explain exactly why to the American people, and in no clear terms, what the risk is from the continued risk is from Venezuela, and explain thoroughly. Okay, we're going to take a break. When we get back, we'll talk about Minnesota. We've got a race in Tennessee. Tomorrow is that election in Tennessee with that woman, Afton. And there are so many other things in the news. James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media. Do not go away.
Rush. This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Oh, Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I just want to be clear. This is the party that says that, they care so much about life until life actually shows up at their front door. And this is also the party that supposedly is about Christianity. And I just imagine what they would have done to a little baby Jesus. But that's a whole other issue. It is really so heartbreaking. We know that under the prior Trump administration, it was the children in cages. So for me, expecting them to do better by children was not one of the things that was on my bingo card.
That is a holiday cheer from Jasmine Crockett, just trying to inflame with her slander of Republican Christians, apparently. What would you people have done to little baby Jesus? It is just beyond insulting, beyond belief. The Seditious Six, one of the ringleaders there, Mark Kelly, was on PMS, whatever they could. No, he was on NBC with Meet the Press. And this is,
you can certainly go to the judge, advocates generals, the lawyers, and have a discussion about it. If you don't have time, you just say simply, I'm not going to do that. That's against the law.
It puts a lot of burden on the troops to make a decision in real time.
It puts a tremendous amount of burden on officers in the military, but that is their responsibility, and they can figure out, a reasonable person can tell something that is legal and something that is illegal.
So would you refuse these specific orders to strike drug boats if you were still in uniform?
Well, the difference between the initial strike and what is being reported, as a second strike, and those things are different. I think this administration has tied themselves in knots, the explanations that we have received on how this is all legal. And I was saying weeks ago, my concern is with the service members, that we're going to put these individuals in a really, really tough decision, in a tough place. And, they may find out, down the road that they did something that is illegal. It is not fair to them. That's why we need presidents and Secretary of Defense who understand the Constitution, who understand the rule of law, and have more respect for the Constitution and the country and service members than the whims of a president.
The whims of a commander-in-chief. And he is encouraging military people to take it upon themselves to question legal orders. He didn't make a difference. Question, it's common sense. You ought to know what's legal and what's not. No, that's not the way it works. This is outrageous. What Democrats are doing here, the Seditious Six, is outrageous. We still have Minnesota. We still have Tennessee. We still have a bunch of stories. So whatever you do, stay here and don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush. Of justice. We're seeing that these criminal illegal aliens are exiting the jails and going back onto New York or Chicago or these other sanctuary streets to re-perpetuate their crimes. Today, in New York City's jails are 7,169 criminal illegal aliens. We're talking about hundreds of murderers, hundreds of sexual predators, drug traffickers, the worst of the worst. Dan Goldman and these other sanctuary city politicians, they should agree to hand over those individuals, honor those detainers, and then we won't have to flood the zone with our ICE law enforcement. We won't have to put those men and women on the ground because we will get these vicious criminals out of New York City's jails.
This holiday season, my friends, help the Red Apple Audio Networks feed those in need. Go to redappleaudionetwork.com/turkey. Join Red Apple Audio Networks, AARP New York City, the Police Athletic League, Gristedes, D'Agostino's Supermarkets, and Nationwide Imaging Services as we deliver holiday meals. More than 5,000 of them across New York City. Go to redappleaudionetwork.com/turkey. That's redappleaudionetwork.com/turkey. All right, I promised Minnesota, but before we get to Minnesota, and I'm not putting it off, we got to get to Minnesota, but I just want to hear you something, and it's unrelated to anything in the news that we've been talking about. Young woman tells a story, and it is, well, the stories, I just want to be clear that I'm not laughing at this young woman's story, and you may not either. Cut 15, Carlos. It was so compelling that I just wanted to share it with you. This young woman has a story to tell. It's a romance story, sort of.
When I was in college, I dated a very traditional Christian man who asked me at one point, how do you feel about after you graduated, we just immediately got married and you were a stay-at-home wife and you didn't have to work? I was honestly offended by that question because I was so passionate about this thing that I was getting a degree in that I was just so eager to enter the workforce and do this thing that I loved and get money for it. Fast forward to today, I've graduated, we broke up, I'm now working in the profession of the thing that I got a degree in, and I changed my mind.
Yes?
I changed my mind, I know.
I changed my mind.
I don't want to do it anymore, I'm done.
She doesn't like the profession anymore. She's sorry. She was insulted when got rid of the boyfriend who wanted her. I'm not laughing at her. It's just so sad. It's sad. Also, by the way, unrelated as well, let's get this out of the way very quickly, and it won't take long. Let's see. I'm looking for it. It's the guy from CNN, this guy that's on CNN all the time, this Baraki Sellers, cut 11. And I didn't know this was happening. This is the public service to those of you in the retail industry who care.
LaTosha Brown, Black Voters Matter. We ain't buying it. Are launching a movement this Black Friday and going forward about stores that are contributing to things like Donald Trump's inauguration and all of these things, which we feel like, or the library, which we feel like are not necessarily conducive to the policies that would move people forward. And so this weekend, black folk are flexing their buying power and saying, we ain't buying it. All right, Scott.
So, a movement, a boycott movement around the happy holidays for those of you, yes. And don't shop where you don't want to shop. Fine with me. Yeah. Illegal. Now, let's talk about, before we do, we have a fly-in from Princess Diana. You know what a fly-in is? She just profoundly drops profundities, words of wisdom on it. She just flies it in for you to, boom, here's a fly-in from, boom, Princess Diana. Here's the fly-in today from Princess Diana. Says it's amazing. The Democrats are yelling about illegal orders from the military while they refuse to even say the word illegal immigrants. They never, ever distinguish between illegal and legal in any other area of life. Profound. Amazing. Democrats are screaming and yelling about illegal orders. Illegal orders. These are the people who refuse to even say the words illegal immigrant. Absolutely. Minnesota, let's start. CBS News, cut 1, and this speaks for itself.
Allegations in a Minnesota voter fraud case that first came to light this summer. 2 people pleaded guilty in federal court to being paid to help register voters. In all, 500 to 600 fraudulent voter registration applications were submitted to election officials in offices in 13 Minnesota counties. Esme Murphy has been following this case, and she joins us now. Esme?
Hi there, Frank. It was some sharp election workers in Carver County who realized the names and addresses on the voter registration forms did not match with any county residents. Prosecutors charged 2 people with 1 count each of voter registration fraud. According to the charging documents, the 2 were paid by an unnamed foundation to help register voters. The 2 defendants pled guilty this summer and have since moved out of state. The scope of the 2-year FBI and state investigation was not previously known.
And it's very significant that they said today it was 13 counties, between 500 and 600 fake voter registrations. And that's just from 2 of the independent contractors that worked with this group.
The investigation involved scouring hundreds of records.
On guidance from the FBI, the voter registration applications were mailed directly to the election lead, and instructions were shared to use gloves when handling the forms.
In testimony before the committee, Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon says the system designed to catch voter fraud worked.
This is a case about individuals who conspired to submit false voter registration applications. This is not a case about fraudulent votes. And this is ultimately a case of the system working.
How many were in the system is challenged.
Republican Committee Chair Kristen Robbins, who is running for governor, says she has additional concerns that the unnamed foundation that paid the 2 workers is funded by state taxpayer dollars.
99%.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. We have a state-funded foundation, nobody knows the name of it still, that's out funding people engaged in what? Trying to gin up fake voter registrations. In Minnesota, the state pays the foundation then hire, and this is just 2 of them. No reports yet on how widespread this really was, while they're all claiming victory. Okay, let's go to cut 2. Fox News report. Again, Minnesota.
Terror group linked to al-Qaeda. Justice Department says it will take a look. National correspondent Jeff Paul has details.
They're calling for an investigation. 4 Minnesota Congress members addressing the state's U.S. attorney, demanding answers after a report claimed taxpayer dollars were ending up in the hands of Somali terror group al-Shabaab.
If you're paying taxes for services you expect and things you expect your state government to provide, those taxes should not be going to a terrorist group in a foreign country.
House Majority Whip Tom Emmer is referencing this article written by urban policy magazine City Journal, which is published by a conservative think tank, the Manhattan Institute. Citing unnamed sources, the report alleges funding that was supposed to go to state programs to help with housing and feeding people was being stolen. Without specifying an amount, the article claims...
We'll stop it right there. So we got that. Now we already had the voter fraud paid by the state. Some foundation state gives money to out trying to commit voter fraud. Now we have this other big one. We know about this. We had Tim Walsh at the beginning of the show, over $1 billion to East African. That's a nice way of saying Somali mostly, but East African players in a massive fraud of COVID era fraud that just went right through their fingers. And now you have this one, money from the $1 billion ending up in the hands of terrorists. Now, cut 9, NBC, a local NBC station in Minnesota.
11 Investigates exposes yet another state program designed to help people in need being ransacked by alleged fraud. AJ Legault continues to follow where your tax dollars are going in his multi-year investigation, Recovery Inc.
So there's this company that built under my insurance named Action Therapy LLC. They're based in Minnesota.
A Minnesota man takes to TikTok in a series of videos.
Y'all just look at the numbers.
And he emails KARE 11 Investigates alleging Medicaid fraud.
They're billing. Never been there before. Never even heard of it until recently.
Muhammad Ali said he'd never heard of Action Therapy until he requested his insurance billing records. His Medicaid coverage is through taxpayer-funded Hennepin Health. When he got his records, he discovered in just 9 months, between August of 2024 and May 2025, Action Therapy billed $211,000. It was not all approved, but the records show they were paid nearly $85,000, he says, for doing nothing.
They run up them digits, man.
Muhammad currently lives in Kenya, but still questioned the charges in his name. Abbas Farah with Action Therapy emailed him, blaming the billing on a clerical mix-up and promised a full internal review.
Back-to-back days.
So, who is Action Therapy? When KARE 11 first started investigating back in June, this was their website. It claimed They are psychotherapists. Right away, we found red flags. Action Therapy's website listed their non-working phone number as 012-345-6789. Then, their website went dark. In July, a new company website launched. This time, it claims they provide adult rehabilitative mental health services, known by the acronym ARMS, which focuses on real-life skills like budgeting, cooking, personal hygiene, medication management, transportation use, and healthy communication. ARMS is a Medicaid program overseen by the Minnesota Department of Human Services.
The ARMS, or the Adult Rehabilitative Mental Health Services Program.
Just last week, Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson flagged ARMS as yet another program the feds are investigating for rampant fraud, as he announced federal wire fraud charges in the wake of Carol Evans' investigation into the Housing Stabilization Program.
The level of fraud in these programs is staggering.
We wanted to hear Action Therapy's side of their clients' allegations of fraud. So we emailed asking for an interview and also tried calling Action Therapy's listed number on their new website.
Sorry, that mailbox is invalid.
Well, that got us nowhere. Secretary of State filings confirmed a business address,
they went to this
which brought us...
This place, folks, the fraud is so widespread you can't keep up with it. They have another program set up where they're robbing the homeless, basically. They've billed the state millions of dollars. This thing goes on for more minutes. It gets into housing fraud. Fraudulent housing that you, the taxpayers, pay for homeless people who never get the housing. Medicaid fraud. Minnesota is a 100% total fraud mess. Every direction you can think of. It is just astounding. So that's our little Minnesota report for today. Wish we could play the whole thing. It is unbelievable, the level of fraud that is happening in that state under Governor Tim Walz. But time is fleeting. Tomorrow, yes, do we have we'll break right now. If we have time, we'll have time for Afton before we go. James Golden, we'll be back. Don't go away.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Oh, Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Rush. Now, here's James Golden.
One of the anthems for adultery. I mean, there's the Whitney Houston song, of course, Saving All My Love for You. But this was one of the early anthems for adultery. Me and Mrs. Jones, Billy Paul, singing it here, his big hit from 72, was born on this day in 1934. One of the many artists of the great sound of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia sound. He passed away in 2016. He was 81. This one was so huge. Me and Mrs. Jones, we got a thing going on. Okay, the Tennessee election tomorrow. We don't have time for all of it. This is the candidate, the Democrat candidate, Afton Bain.
Okay, this is great. We've got our girl squad, and we're bullying the ICE vehicles and state troopers. So this is a win.
This is her screaming as she's being dragged out of a Capitol protest.
Well, I'm currently involved in a transformative justice seminar, and so it's how to imagine a world without police and what that looks like and what community mechanisms look like, especially for those of us, that are young, like and talking to our parents about what police abolition looks like, that, we can do it and there is a world.
You said in those since deleted tweets that the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department should be dissolved. Another cheered on a teachers union saying that defund the police should be a requirement for schools reopening. And another saying good morning, especially to the 54% of Americans that believe burning down a police station is justified. Do you still stand by those comments? And if not, is there anything you want to clarify?
I'm not going to engage in cable news talking points, but what I will say is that, our communities need solutions. We need local people deciding, solving local problems with local solutions.
So you don't want to clarify whether you still believe that the police should be defunded?
Once again, I don't remember these tweets, but what I'm saying is that...
I'm not asking you if you remember. What is your position today? How's that on this issue?
I mean, once again, I'm here to talk about my race.
My therapist always asks me to transcribe my dreams when they happen. And the recurring dream I've had is standing up in a cafeteria full of women. I don't know why I was there or whatever. And saying, I don't want children, I want power. And just screaming it at the top of my lungs. The deeply patriarchal structures that these women are involved with because they've chosen marriage and they've chosen to raise children. And I think in the South, it's incredibly difficult to shake those.
Some committees open up with prayer. We also stand for the pledge. And there are also prayer groups in the legislature that meet routinely. There are Christian pastors that have a lot of say and proximity to power in the legislature and dictate a lot of what the power players do. And it is uncomfortable.
Every legislative session, I promised to carry a trans Bill of Rights so that we could push back against the far-right narrative that is being emanated by Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire, who have set up their home in Nashville.
Ladies and gentlemen, it goes on and on. You've heard her statements about how she hates Nashville, even though she wants to represent it. She hates country music. She hates The Bachelorette. That's the woman that's running tomorrow. We got to leave. We celebrate on the way out Jaco Pastorius, one of the greatest bass players of all time. Worked with so many great artists, Joni Mitchell, Herbie Hancock, Pat Metheny, but had his own solo career. Just brilliant. One of the most brilliant musicians ever. The great Jaco Pastorius, born on this day in 1951. James Golden, Snerdley. May God bless, protect. This is, of course, from Weather Report, Birdland. May God bless each and every single one of you, protect you and your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude for you being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we are back tomorrow for the Tuesday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Payne Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.